All right, guys, we're back with another edition of Defend the Take, and today we have Dave DuFour and Kelly Iko competing in the only game show on the internet where you have to defend takes you may or may not believe. I have no idea if that's true, but
I was going to say that doesn't sound true.
It might be true.
But true enough. The only one I've ever seen.
The way it works, again, guys, is each of you guys will be presented one side of a take, and each of you will get 1 minute to defend your take. And then we will converse, and I will decide who gets to win that take. And whoever has the most points by the end of the show wins. Today, guys, though, we are talking about the Houston Rockets because Kelly Iko is a big Houston Rockets guy. Today, the three takes that we have are number one, Alperen Sengun will be a top 2 center in the NBA by the end of the season. Number two, Ime Udoka is more responsible for the Rockets' improvement than the new players. And three, the Rockets should consider trading Jalen Green for Pascal Siakam. And to decide who gets to defend which side of the take, again, we always start with the trivia question. And Kelly, since you are our guest, I will give you the first chance at answering this question. And the question today is, who is my current favorite Rocket?
I'm going to go off the cuff and say it is Tari Eason.
You are incorrect. Dave, do you have a guess?
Jabari Smith.
You are incorrect. The correct answer
is it Amen Thompson?
No, it's Boban.
You know what I thought? Boban? Oh my God.
It's Boban. But it's okay. It's okay. That's not the trivia question. The trivia question today. The trivia question.
That's not the question.
Wait, that wasn't the question?
That's not the question. No. The trivia question today is,
oh my God,
how many points has Boban scored this season for the Houston Rockets? Whoever gets the closest to the answer without going over wins. So Kelly, you are the guest. You get your first guess at this.
9.
Okay, Dave, what would you like to guess?
7.
Kelly, you are correct. Because he has scored 10. He has scored 10 points this season. 10 points.
Oh, man. Hey, Dave, it's not starting good for you.
So, Kelly, would you like to defend the pro or the con side to all of these takes?
The con side.
Oh. Dave, did you want the pro side?
Yes, I always want the pro side.
Okay.
I'm an optimist. It's easy for me to sell you on the positives of things. Very easy. I'm not a natural hater. I hate in real life, not on basketball.
That's wild, man. Well, the first take today is Alperen Sengun will be a top 2 center in the NBA by the end of the season, and the pro side goes first. And so, Dave, your 1 minute begins now.
This one is just incredibly obviously true to me. That he's anchoring the number 1 defense in the NBA amongst all centers who face 12 shots in the paint. He's got the 4th lowest opponent field goal percentage behind the likes of Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, and Rudy Gobert. I mean, this guy is already one of the best defensive centers in the league, and we know what he's been as an offensive hub. I mean, baby Jokic, maybe we should start saying Sengun 1.0. I mean, like, this guy is kind of following the similar path that Jokic followed. By now, everyone's on board with him being this offensive hub. He's nominally their point guard in a lot of lineups. And not to mention, he puts guys on poster every single opportunity he gets. He's getting much more comfortable with that pick and pop 3. And you could see him evolving over the course of this season. Definitely could be top 2 center in the league. Maybe even number 1.
Time. That's your take. That is your take. All right, Kelly, you get to defend the con side, and your 1 minute begins now.
I think Alperen Sengun is really close to being a top 5 center in the NBA and could definitely be that by this season's end. But I think the still improving 3-point percentage still has to come up some. I still think from a usage standpoint, when you compare him to guys like Jokic, who are, I think, 35% usage, he still has to deal with the likes of Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green in terms of having the ball in his hands. Post-ups, he's still around league average. As a role man, he's still around league average. So he has had that 30-year leap. But if we're talking about going from where he is now to a top 2 center among the likes of Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, I think there's still a little way of leeway to go before we get there.
Okay. All right. You guys can discuss.
I mean, personally, look, I'm a big fan of Ime Udoka as a coach. I think that we saw what he did in Boston as a head coach.
Right.
And he's just scratching the surface on how to use Sengun as an offensive hub. You mentioned post-ups, PPP is a little bit low, or not low, but about average. As a roll man, about average. He's only going to get better as the season progresses and he gets more comfortable with his teammates. Don't forget, man, most guards don't even know how to throw a post-entry pass, much less help pass him open, or they even cut when he draws a double so that he can assist out of that. I think that this is an ever-evolving process, and as the guys and the coaching staff gets more comfortable with what he can do, we're going to find out he can do even more than we've already seen. I mean, this guy, his trajectory is going upward, and it's more like a space shuttle than it is a plane taking off. So, I mean, taking the leap from borderline top 5 center to number 2, that's not crazy to me.
So do you see him leapfrogging the likes of maybe Joel Embiid? Because obviously it's been established that Jokic is the head all be all of NBA centers. And if that's the case, then Joel is number 2. So do you see the gap between him and Sengun as substantial, or do you think he can actually overtake him, this season?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have Embiid as that number 2 guy right now. And as you mentioned, Sengun knocking on the door of a top 5 center. I think that you could see a scenario if he can continue to defend the way that he is, right? We know he's a solid offensive player. Tyrese Maxey taking some of the spotlight off Embiid, maybe becoming a little bit more of a 1B than a 1A, doesn't that knock Embiid down a little bit? And I think Sengun is the clear alpha in Houston. So he's going to get the numbers. The usage will go up. These guys are going to figure it out as he gets them paid. You know what I mean? Over the next couple of years, these guys are going to be getting paid because of Sengun. So I think that once they see that they can make some money there, we'll see Sengun blast off.
I think the only issue with the usage is what Ime Udoka always preaches, and everything he talks about the team, he always brings back to the team concept. And him bringing in Van Vliet was bringing in a guy that has historically never been a ball dominant, type of point guard where he's going to have that 24 23% usage rate. And it seems like at least the first 15 games in the year that things are trying to progress to let Jalen Green be that go-to scorer, which is kind of awkward because Alperen Sengun is their best player, but I think that dynamic, that whole stratosphere is the reason why I don't think he'll be able to get the top 2 yet, because of he has to actually fight through those hurdles of his own teammates in terms of trying to get the kind of trust that Jokic gets or Embiid gets or a Sabonis gets.
Kelly, I have a question for you.
Yep.
Will Sengun get MVP votes at the end of the season?
Ooh. Now that if the Rockets can win 45 games, I think he will definitely get, because I think he'll be an all-star this year. I think he's shown everything to be an all-star this year for sure. At least on that phase. But MVP is the kind of, but there's always going to be somebody, So every year we see it. There's always one voter.
Was that guy last year, right? I think I'm with you, Kelly. I think if Sengun can help carry these guys to 45 wins, he's definitely going to get some MVP votes. I mean, this is how the league works. They love the hot new thing. And Sengun is the hot new thing that I think, as you agree with me on, he's on an upward trajectory. Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, I will say, Kelly, I don't know if you were supposed to agree with that.
I think that was a trick. I think that was a trick question.
It was a trick.
It's cool. This is Dave's show. It's cool. I'll let it slide the first time.
Okay. After some thought, I'm going to give Kelly the point.
Oh,
the reason why Kelly gets the point, Dave, you could have done one of two things. The first,
I mean, I had the stats,
the first mistake was the stat. Number one, first of all, no one cares about defense. Why are you bringing up a defensive stat? Number two, you said in the stat that he's like below 5 players. And so
no, he's 4th. He's below 3 guys.
Oh, my bad.
And you said by the end of, and I said he was anchoring the number 1 defense, which he is. And you talked about
but you named him below.
You named other players.
So, I mean, well, that's right. Now I didn't tell you how much below. He's not very much. He's 0.2 points, 0.2 percentage points field goal percentage behind Gobert. That's like, it's literally like could change after one game. I mean, he's very close to all those guys. So when we're talking about positioning, I mean, he's in position where he could be number 2 in defensive field goal percentage in the paint as a center. anchoring the number one defense. I mean, look, I understand that this is the internet and the internet doesn't care about defense, but I'm a basketball coach. I have to care about defense because defense is how you win titles. And this guy is right now the anchor of the number one defense in the league. And he is impacting every single defensive possession. So, and that's 50% of the game, Sam. So
Dave,
that's okay. Kelly can, it's okay.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam.
That's fine with me. That's just
I am gonna penalize you 30 seconds on your next take because you just took up 30 seconds of my time listening to a take that you have already
I only
given.
need 30 seconds for this one.
Dave, I will say, just side note, the only way you could have won this debate is if you gave the argument that Joel Embiid might get injured and he might not play.
Again, man, I'm an optimist. I don't like to speculate on a guy getting hurt, but I will say the guys that right now in the defensive field goal percentage inside the paint, two of those guys, it's Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis, and he's 0.2 percentage points behind Rudy Gobert. So,
Sam,
I'll
he's
stand
saying
by
it
that
again,
take.
Sam.
I'll take that take. By the
We're
way,
moving on.
Myself, this is going to happen.
Take number 2, Ime Udoka is more responsible for the Rockets' improvement this season than the new players that they've added. Dave, you have the pro side, so you get first dibs at this, and you have 30 seconds, not a minute.
30 seconds. This one's easy.
Go for it.
We know what Ime Udoka did as Celtics coach. I mean, that defense that he took to the finals was incredible. The biggest difference I've seen, yes, they've got new faces and they've got some veterans, but all of the young guys are playing adult basketball. They're being responsible. Defense, every single possession, playing on a string. Huge difference between the young guys last year and this year.
Kelly, you have 1 minute.
Guys like Alperen Sengun and Jabari Smith Jr. have improved their defensive ability, but when you talk to all of them, they say it comes down to two things. The addition of guys like Fred VanVleet and Dillon Brooks, who are in that locker room with them, in the trenches with them, helping them on every possession, and just adding things to their repertoire. They watch those guys in practice every day. They watch Dillon Brooks, who was a second-team all-defense, and comes over to Houston and allows them to do things differently. They're allowed to switch everything now. They can play different schemes. They can go zone. They can go aggressive. They can blitz. They can do whatever. It's all down to the players. At the end of the day, you can have any coach in front of you, but if player A doesn't want to do a job, it's not going to get done. So Jabari Smith Jr. taking the leap is on himself. Alperen Sengun going to the gym, conditioning on his body, physical in the gym, that's on Alperen Sengun. Yes, coaches are there to help, but at the end of the day, it's a teammate's job, it's your player's job, it's a player's league. So their improvement is up. If you
Time.
All right. You know what? Let's just go ahead and roll with this because I've got a question for you, Kelly. If the old coaching staff is still here and they bring in these vets, you don't think it's the goof troop out there? Come on now. The mindset is different. Look, they were goofy last year, undisciplined, right? This was like the big thing. I read your reporting, Kelly. You reported all of this yourself. They needed a real adult in the room, a real leader. And I would argue this Houston Rockets team looks as much like Ime Udoka. This is like a bunch of dogs now, especially. And again, it's all about that defense. So players, fine. Those guys came in, those vets came in, they got paid big bucks. It would have been super easy for them to just chuck it, live out that contract, know they were going to get traded to a contender at some point and move on. But I think Ime gets those guys to buy in. And if he can get those guys to buy in, the young guys are going to follow them. It all starts with Ime.
Sam, as much as I want to fight this take, Dave got this one right. He got that one right. It's true. It's literally true.
Listen,
sorry. I will concede this
even
round.
In a fun exercise, he can't contradict his own reporting because he knows. I read every Kelly Iko piece. I'm telling you right now. I'm just giving his words right back.
Okay, no. I haven't come to a decision. I haven't come to a decision yet. Before I come to a decision, I do have a question, a little more serious question.
Yes.
How many teams in the NBA, if you put Dillon Brooks on, does he have a similar performance to what he's already done so far in the beginning of the season?
It's probably a handful, because when you look around the league and you can look at coaching staffs that are competent from top to bottom, and them organizing their shot structure and organizing how things are going to flow on the offense in the half court. A guy like Dylan Brooks only has to buy in, especially if he is trying to actually win at the highest level, which is everything he's talked about. So, at some point, everything he did in Memphis wasn't going to fly, in Houston or anywhere else that he went to. Because remember, he met with the Lakers, he met with Dallas, other teams. So, had he gone to,
he'd still be in Memphis if he played like this in Memphis.
He could be. Maybe.
And that's the Ime Udoka effect.
Hey, maybe. But, Dylan also had to do some introspective, thinking of himself. And
hey, I will give Dylan credit. I think that Team Canada World Cup trip was good for him too. But I also think that Udoka.
One follow-up, kind of random, maybe not. Would James Harden make this team better or worse?
I mean, as opposed him instead of who? Like Fred, or just him on the team?
Like just him on the team. Take away whoever the 12th man is and put James on.
I mean, most definitely. I still think that James has lots to offer to the game. I mean, he, the way he's gone about his business hasn't been the greatest over the last 3 seasons, but this is a guy that did lead the league in assists, and this is a team that was dead last in assists last season. They were dead last in half-court offense. Everything about them offensively was a disaster, and James has been one of the, game's most historically competent offensive machines for, 6, 7, 8 years. So I think they would still be better with him on the floor. Now, do I think that the vibes would have been the same? Absolutely not. I still think that, Van Vliet and everything he brings as a leader, I just think that's a different kind of thing that the Rockets needed now, as opposed to what James would have brought. He's more laid back. He's more reserved. Fred is going to be in your face. He's going to be cussing you out. He's going to be pulling you to the side and telling you, don't do X, Y, and Z if you want to get on the court with me. But, James still a great player, but I still think that they made the right decision in going with Fred.
Here's another way Ime has affected it. Number one, I think James Harden would make him better because Ime would hold him accountable to the same standard that he does the rest of the team, and that would make a big difference. But the other thing is, Ime Udoka, I've heard through various reports, was the guy who kind of put the kibosh on getting James Harden in the first place to build this sort of team, the one that's going to have a team mindset, the one that's going to defend every possession, the one that's going to be a bunch of dogs pulling for each other. So in and of itself, I mean, maybe that one move alone made it so Ime Udoka had a greater effect than the veterans they brought in.
Yeah, because it would have been pretty hard, as much as players will buy into Ime, it would have been hard to bring back a guy that's probably could have a statue in Houston.
It would have been a James Harden team, not an Ime Udoka team.
Right.
Okay. Well, Dave clearly gets the point since Kelly gave up. But, Kelly, you also get docked a point because you're not playing in the spirit of the game.
Oh, man.
No, I got docked
a hater. Kelly, you gotta be a hater.
You gotta be a hater.
Game.
I'm back on my mode.
I've been hating you with a smile on my face. I've been giving you compliments to hate on you. I'm hating on you, man. You gotta be a hater to win this game. Gotta be a hater.
I'm back on my stuff. Let's go. Let's get it.
Going into the
problem is
round,
I read Kelly Iko too much. I'm too informed on the Houston Rockets.
Dave is up 1-0 heading into the final round. I have never docked a point until the
dominance.
That is absolutely absurd. You are not playing in the spirit of the game, Kelly. That is insane.
I'm back.
Going for the shutout here, Kelly.
No, it's not happening.
Kelly, 2 weeks ago, we gave someone 2 points on a question, so maybe you can come back.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. The third and final take. The Rockets should consider trading Jalen Green for Pascal Siakam. Dave, your 1 minute begins now.
I like this a lot. I mean, Pascal Siakam is an all-NBA player, all-NBA defender. I mean, this is a guy who you could plug him right into that starting lineup, and they are instantly better. I mean, this is a team with Pascal Siakam. You could possibly have home court advantage in the playoffs. I mean, with how well they've been defending, your offense is going to get better. You know, he already has chemistry with Fred VanVleet. And with a guy like Sengun to operate as a hub, you can unlock some of the cutting that Pascal Siakam is so good at. And he can fall into that second banana role where I think he's more well suited. It would be a perfect pickup if the team wanted to jump the timeline a little bit and be competitive and young. that's a move. Because personally, I'm lower on Jalen Green than a lot of people. I think that he will come around eventually, but it's hard for a guard, and especially a guy who has to get his own shot like that. It's going to take him a little bit longer to develop. Pascal Siakam, he's ready to win right now.
Kelly, your 1 minute begins now.
Adding Pascal Siakam to this team would be an utter disservice to Alperen Sengun. If you look at Pascal Siakam's post-up efficiency, he's, I think, 83rd percentile, and that's one of his go-to moves. It would directly get in the way of Sengun, who also likes to operate in the post, and it would harm their spacing. I think Pascal had issues with Fred last season. I think that's kind of what led to Toronto's, derailing. And I think bringing him to the mix with Fred and Alperen, you're taking the ball out of Alperen's hands even more, which you don't need to be doing at this point in his career at all. He should have the ball more. And I think Siakam is a great player, but I think Jalen Green still is on that path where he can be that uber efficient 26, 27 point, a nice scorer, but he just needs to keep learning, keep progressing. And Houston's most important thing should be getting Alperen the ball any and every day. And I think adding a guy like Siakam, who's a high usage guy, who's going to occupy the same positions, is doing him a disservice.
All right, discuss.
Would Pascal Siakam be the best player on the team if they traded for him? Just like,
No.
Individual player. You think Sengun is better?
I think Sengun is better. I think he's better right now in terms of what you can do, because in today's game, you're just not finding those offensive hubs everywhere on the street.
I agree.
And this is his year 3. I think by year 4, if he ups his 3-point percentage to, let's say, 34, 35, now you're talking about a guy that can actually pick and pop, and even if he's hitting 1 a game, or whatever a game, you can actually curtail a whole offense to his needs. Whereas I think Siakam is a great cutter, he's a great rebounder, he's a great defender, but he struggled with his efficiency, and he likes to operate with his back to the basket, just like Sengun. And just that post up, they do the same thing in terms of operating down low, and it's going to harm their spacing. So I just think
I see this as an opportunity for an inside-out game, because not only, yes, Pascal does like to post up, and so does Sengun, but Sengun also, as that hub, needs to operate on the wing a little bit more. This gives you another guy who can offensive rebound as well. I think it takes some of that pressure off Sengun. I don't think it takes away from him being the hub of your offense. I think it adds another threat who's a real threat to score, whether he has the ball or not. And the thing about Jalen Green is that, again, right now, the low efficiency, and this would be a win now move. I'll fully admit that. But I'm on board with it, because I do think that when you can defend at this level, you can win a playoff series. And if you can go and add Pascal Siakam to this, you can't let a player of the caliber of Fred VanVleet get in the way of that. Fred is a good player, but Pascal is much better. And so, if you can improve your team to the level where you're potentially winning a first-round playoff series, I think that's a move that's worth making.
But adding Pascal at that cost, I don't think really puts them into anything more than a first-round, series, and you're hampering your future financial flexibility. So I think, given for where they are right now, they're not, they're okay with getting to the playoffs. But if they're not trying to win a championship this year, I don't think Pascal's move right now.
Just a question, would you, in a hypothetical world, you're able to either have Pascal Siakam with this roster for the next 5 years, or Jalen Green with this roster for the next 5 years? Which team is better off in those 5 years?
I'm going Jalen Green, because
I'm going Pascal Siakam.
Right
now, Pascal Siakam's better.
But right now, with Jalen Green on the team, they still have the number 1 defense in the league. So it's not, you're not sacrificing anything defensively, or you're not going to add that much more swapping out Pascal for Jalen Green if they're the number 1 ranked defensive team. Where you can add offensively is Jalen Green's potential, and that 3-level capacity, the power, the speed, the quickness, the quick twitch ability. Jalen Green has all those in spades. He just needs to continue to learn as a processor, and that's why playing under Ime is going to do wonders for him more than you adding a guy in Pascal that's already pretty much tapped out of what he can be in this league, which is still pretty damn good.
But he's in his prime.
Yeah, he's in his prime. So I still think Jalen Green's prime is potentially higher than Pascal's. That's where I'm coming from.
But his prime is a few years away, and it's, prime and potential can be damning to a franchise. I mean, look at the Jordan Poole situation.
Dave's comparing Jordan Poole to Jalen Green.
I mean, now in hindsight, we see that Steph Curry, that championship he won with Jordan Poole on the roster, I mean, this is a Herculean feat. I'm not saying that they're directly the same players because I think Jalen Green is a much more serious basketball player than Jordan Poole is. But, there's potential and there's reality. And Pascal Siakam is reality.
What are the chances Jalen Green is a multi All-Star player?
Chances? I think it's pretty good. I mean, look, he's playing in a system now that's already shown that they want to make him be their go-to scorer. Fred VanVleet's talked about setting that guy up for success. Alperen Sengun wants him to be a multi-time All-Star. It's on Jalen to kind of show, and he has done over the last 3-4 games. He's had those pockets of space since being benched, in San Francisco for the fourth quarter. He's shown that he can actually put things together, put sequences together. He can read the defense and slow the game down. For a 30-year player, you want to see that growth. Obviously, he hasn't had the same 30-year growth as Sengun has, but different kind of player, different kind of expectations. And if he can adjust to going from being the savior of Houston to the Jamal Murray of Houston to like Alperen Sengun's Jokic, it'll be so much better for his career down the line than how in the first 2 years everyone thought that he was going to be the guy to bring Houston back from the ashes. And it's not the case because Alperen Sengun is clearly taking that mantle, for himself. But he can still be a hell of a Robin to his Batman.
Dave, do you agree?
No.
Well, okay. After some thought, for the first time in Defend the Take history, we have a clean sweep. I'm giving the point to Dave. Because Kelly, you brought up the fact that the Rockets have the #1 defense, but everyone knows the Orlando Magic will have the #1 defense by the end of the season. And so, as an Orlando Magic fan, I cannot allow you to say that on this show. And so you do not.
Whoa! We're bringing bias in here now.
Of course, I am the judge. I decide this.
Sports.
Yeah. You're trying to convince me, not anyone else.
That's true.
Now here's a real question. Here's a question for Sam. How about, would Jalen Green fit Orlando?
See, I am of the mindset that all Orlando is missing is people who could shoot the 3 ball and an elite post presence. Jalen Green is not quite either of those, and so he might be a fit, but I don't think that's what they really, really need.
I mean, they have
Pascal outfit over there.
Pascal. No, I don't think so. I don't think there's not enough space for Pascal, to be honest with you. I think with Paolo and Franz and again, here's Goga. Yeah, there's just not only a lot of ball handlers, there's a lot of guys who are like 6'9" and up. And the thing that Orlando's missing is they're missing a guard who can stir the drink, who can shoot threes, preferably off the dribble, right? Like, I mean, Cole Anthony's been good, but Cole Anthony's at his ceiling. If they had Tyrese Maxey, for instance, we would all be saying, "Oh, wow, this is a team that could make maybe the Eastern Conference Finals." To defend like that and have that kind of guy to be able to score, I don't know. I'm a big fan of what's happening in Orlando. So
all they're missing is Brook Lopez. And with that, that's the show. 2-0, Dave wins.